Hi there, everybody, and welcome to the Growth Execution Podcast. We are here with growth leaders, entrepreneurs from across the world, looking at how they have launched and grown their businesses. I'm delighted to be joined this week by Keetria. Keetria, hi there, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, Mal. How are you? Thanks so much for having me on your show.
Very well indeed, and thank you for joining us. Really great to catch up. Looking forward very much to hearing your story. So I wanted to start really with just to take you back to when you first kind of launched your business. And I just wondered what it was that drove you to think that this was a really good idea.
You know what? I'm still not sure it's a good idea. I'm just kind of like rolling the dice, and if we just keep going, eventually, you'll end up hitting the numbers you need. But no, I've always been, you just have the entrepreneurial spirit, and so like since I was a kid, I've always been interested in earning money and creating my own stuff and just kind of doing the things that I enjoy, just kind of being that outsider that kind of takes their own path. But I ended up really delving into the entrepreneurial journey, like independently back in maybe 2006, 2017, when I really decided that I wanted to kind of venture out and to create these different products that I'm passionate about. And as far as my career, like I started as a marketing / PR entertainment and booking agent with AMW Group. And then, like I said, after years of doing that, it was just time to do something different. And so like really taking a leap forward to where you're on a solo journey, just trying to figure out the steps. It started with Style of Business, and I initially kicked it off as a podcast because I was hoping to have different entrepreneurs on to kind of learn, to learn and grow from. But before that, it was like a music podcast because I used to do DJing different events and things like that. So I went from the music podcast to the business podcast, and really finding my lane with the PR marketing and advisory, which is now business, which we do like the coaching and the PR plans and execution and things like that. So here I am. As far as getting it right, I don't know. Time will tell. So I'm just kind of finding my way like everybody else,
It's brilliant. Yeah. And look, I mean, so many people listening will have the same kind of experience where, they kind of like moved and tried something, iterated and tried again and gone again. What is it that kind of drives you on? Like you say, that there's, this kind of entrepreneurial spirit. What does that mean to you? What is it that kind of, when you get up in the morning, what makes you go and do these things?
I mean, to me, like it's what happens with me is like if I typically end up getting some sort of intuitive nudge to, hey, you need to do this, you need to do it, and it never goes away. Mm-hmm. And like I've noticed, like in the past, when I don't act on those nudges, like things kind of start crumbling, So mm-hmm. It's, to me, it's like when I get up and it's like some urge or desire to, hey, move forward with this goal, or call this person, or hey, you need to send this email, or you need to go ahead and complete this project. I just started trying to be more mindful of what that voice or what that nudge was trying to get me to do and start acting on it. And then from there, the next step unfolds. But really, it's just the desire to move in a specific direction. As before, it would be like, oh, okay, do this and do that. And what I would run into is like when I would try to force myself to do different things or to work on different projects, it would just be so, it would be like, harder to do. I wouldn't be interested. And I would find myself kind of forcing the completion of an assignment or a task and not really being happy about it, as to where, when you get up and you work on something that you really enjoy, you don't have to force yourself. You just kind of flow into it. So that often came with getting those intuitive nudges. And that's what I've been trying to follow ever since.
For sure. So actually the kind of almost the things that you felt you should be doing, which is exactly. Like, well, this is what business should be looking like and all that sort of stuff. That's the stuff that's led you down the wrong path.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. I think that's super valuable because, I think particularly when you understand what it is that you're looking to do, why you're here, then kind of you've got this automatic kind of magnetized attraction towards doing that. And when you think about the why, so the thing that you are here to do and why you are following this particular path, do you have something crystallized in your mind as being like, this is what drives me on?
Yeah, I mean, to me, when there's this core set of things that you're good at personally, like Mal, yourself, like when people are for instance, with me, like people are always coming to me to kind of hash out different problems or issues, or they want to vent. And I just noticed like, hey girl, you're a good listener. You listen very well. And I try to at least listen with an open mind so that I can, not really try to say, okay, hey, I think you need to be doing this. Like I feel like I'm very helpful at kind of sharing advice and my opinions, but at the end of the day, I don't say, okay, hey, you definitely need to go this route that I'm telling you. I think my biggest strength and purpose is really trying to help people see how they're an inspiration to others as well. Like, hey, you may not be able to figure it all out, but at the end of the day, you have something to offer. So I feel like for the most part, it's just really helping other people to see their strengths and to inspire other people and to uplift. So more of a, just a motivational kick. I'm a motivational kicker, if that makes sense.
For sure. And I think, that kind of coaching, that supportive role, helping people be the best version of themselves, that sort of stuff is so important, isn't it? And I think, now more than ever, when there's so much capacity for people or the world to be quite mean to everybody else, right? You go on social media, there's a lot of nasty.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, like everybody's on social just about, so it's kind of, you can't escape the crazies. They're out there for sure.
Yeah, and the haters and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, look, I genuinely, and I agree, I think that one of our jobs as kind of as business coaches, mentors, things like that, is really to get that confidence back. I think in a lot of people, it's a big step, right? Going out into business is huge, but we need loads of people to do it, because that's where that's where kind of imagination lies. That's where the future of business lies. But there's a lot of people who just seem to want to stop people from doing it by taking them down.
Yeah, I mean, this to me, and really, I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday, and he was talking about how we have those people who do that sort of thing. So you have what we would deem, hey, good, bad, and ugly, or whatever. But he was like, I just kind of use that as contrast and just know that I'm looking for the opposite. So at the end of the day, I try to like accept it as, okay, well, they have a job to do as well, and their job is to be ugly, nasty, and cruel, because they're going to be there, no matter what country you're in, no matter what city, no matter background, you have those people that their job is to be miserable, and we can just choose to direct our attention elsewhere, so that's what I just try to, hey, if that's your job.
Yeah, that's right. And like you say, and you were talking about then, just the contrast is important as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, we wouldn't know necessarily what great looked like if we didn't have anybody who was.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can't like, Val, you know how it is. Like, you try to take those people and encourage them a bit, like, hey, don't go so hard on the coworker. But the next day they're doing it anyway. So you're just like, all right, well, there's no need of me getting myself derailed for it. Just have at it,
It's a DNA thing. Yeah. I can't change that.
Right.
That's stuck.
Right.
Brilliant.
Right.
When you think about kind of what's inspired you to get going within your business, do you have is there any body or any kind of like, kind of group that really kind of gets, has really inspired you to get to where you are?
You know what, there's not necessarily a specific group, but I love I just love the magnitude of how unbelievably, what's the word? Like things, to me, like I'm one of those people that believe like anything and all things are possible. And so when you kind of take that and run with it, it's like whatever you create. So I'm really into those communities that really focus on creating your life from vision, manifesting, and really just kind of setting a mental attitude of positivity and happiness and peace. Because when you're able to kind of cultivate that within yourself, then it'll all kind of, and it's crazy because it's like I've been practicing and studying that for a while, but I just really started to tap into it and really do work like a few years ago. As before, I would hear it and I would understand it and I would digest it, in different segments or different areas of my life. But it wasn't until like a few years ago I have really started to apply that through everything, and to really get into that. And now I'm seeing like it doesn't take for you don't have to do a lot. You just have to make a decision to have a good attitude and things will flow. So you could choose that, or you could be forced, and just I don't want to be grumpy. Like, I don't want to get up and have to be drug into a job and just live a miserable, 80-year existence with like, people do that, so it's just, with me, I like to go to the communities that are talking about empowerment and uplifting, and anything that's going to push people forward. So
Yeah, and I think that's again that's kind of really important for people who, and now more than ever we've been kind of atomized, right? Through the pandemic and all that sort of stuff. Everybody's sort of a bit distant, and it's been a long time since you've been able to come together as a big group. And I think that those kind of communities and those sort of inspirational groupings and societies that really just give that positivity, and just kind of
I
give a
love it.
real sort of draw towards, like, this is
Yeah,
the good stuff, and it's not
yeah,
just misery and
yeah,
sadness and fear.
yeah.
And do you think that so for you it's about sort of visualization and like you said, the sort of manifesting side of things? Is that something that you think others can get involved with? Is it relatively straightforward, or is there something that you need to do in order to get to that point?
Yeah, if anybody can do it, to be honest, and we've always done it, and it's funny because when you think about your childhood, when you would have all these imaginary friends and all of this craziness going on, and the friends were actually real, they were real within your mind. But when you think about applying that in your adult life, I think it just starts with you just making a decision to think different, and to really dig down and figure out what your true beliefs are. Because I think, sometimes we just get hurled into this whole mass consciousness and, believing what other people have taught us. And we don't even, stop to think, okay, hey, let me figure out if that's something that I'm truly down with, or maybe I'm just, being herd into what mom and dad or grandma said or whatever. And really, you know, a lot of people, oh, well, you got to do this first. You got to go do this. No, you just got to make a decision like, hey, I'm going to figure out what's going on at the core of who I am. And then, you take the next step after that. But once you make the decision, like, I think the information will start flowing. You just got to say, yeah to it.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's it. It's about self-awareness, and it's about kind of
Right.
really
Yeah.
getting to grips with what your purpose is, and almost stopping resisting it. I think a lot of people that I meet kind of like are fighting against kind of this draw. They're thinking that I should be doing this because this is the thing that I've been told that I should be doing. But actually, it's almost giving yourself permission to just go, do you know what? Actually, I really quite like this over here, and then everything just kind of flows, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And as entrepreneurs, we do it all the time because when you think about it, it's scary. Like, nobody wants to, maybe you're making a couple of 100,000 in corporate, and but you feel incomplete, and deep down that you should have left 5 years ago after you made managing partner or whatever. But you just say, okay, well, now this is comfortable, this is good. And like, I don't know, you have to kind of take it for what it's worth, but you could either be forced into whatever your purpose is, and maybe that'll be violently, with
Yeah,
just like, things changing overnight,
yeah.
which it did for some people as we saw last year, or it could just be something gradual to where you just find yourself not satisfied. To me, that's worse because you're kind of eating away at yourself and you're not really living the life that you need to live. So, I think we don't do it because most of the times we're afraid of what's on the other side. But really, when you just take the journey, like, like, what's the worst that could happen,
Yeah. And it's that kind of courage, isn't it? It's that
Right,
moment in time where you're like, yeah, like you say,
right.
you can kind of, life will probably force you to do it in the end anyway. Something will happen,
Exactly.
a pandemic will
Right.
hit,
Right.
and your
You're
business,
gonna jump.
this,
Right.
and
Right.
it's real,
Right.
and people are doing that
Right.
right now. Or you can make that active choice and go, do you know what? Look, this feels much better, and you jump in and you go for it. And
Exactly.
along the way, it might not go entirely according to plan, and there'll be moments where things go wrong, and and I think that people's fear of failure is a big thing as well, right? And that's something that I think people have got have
Yeah.
got to think of. Failure isn't failure isn't the end. It's a step on the journey, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I always think about, hey, do you want to be pushed or do you want to jump? And like, sometimes I don't even know. Like, yeah, maybe push me, because that is it's frightening either way. And as far as like the failure, I think that to me, it is an experience that really teaches you how to move forward, because there's still failing, but at the end of the day, I'm still moving forward as well. So it's like, things that you tried, it didn't work out. And sometimes you do a lesson a couple of times, it's like that chemistry test that you failed a couple of times. And the teacher says, hey, I'm going to let you do it one more time, just because. But I think the biggest takeaway from, trying something, whether it be a personal failure, a relationship, just whatever the failure that you deem as a failure, whatever comes up, keep moving forward anyway, and just try to take as much as you can and learn from that, and then apply it and rinse and repeat. So, it might take you a couple of tries and it may not, but moving forward is the most important lesson from any failure.
I couldn't agree more. And yeah, I think that there is just so much that people, failure gets such a bad reputation. People look at it and think, I don't want to be that, because that's, there's all these problems that are associated with it.
I could tell some stories. Yeah, I'm telling you, like that. I could write a whole comedy script on just my own personal failures, but I'm good with it. It's what it was. It's an experience, and I love me for moving forward. Like, I really love me for just kind of moving forward and in the spirit high. So I'm good.
That's a great way of looking at it. And I think, for many people who are on the other side of that failure, that's exactly what it feels like, right? And, and I've been there myself. It's that knowledge that, it wasn't as quite as bad as I thought it was going to be, and B, I'm still here and it's still going okay.
I'm still alive. I woke up. Yeah, I messed up that. I screwed that up big time, but I'm good.
Fact, when you look back, you're going, that was a really, really massive thing. But actually, at the end, do you know what? I'm doing things that I want to do now much, much better than I would have done before, because I just didn't know quite. I was just swinging.
Exactly. Man, you said it. Yeah.
And do you have kind of some advice from your past that you kind of look back on? Is there a piece of advice that you think, do you know what? If that's the sort of stuff that keeps driving you forward?
Yeah, the biggest advice that I would give to anybody right now is just to make sure that you act. Make sure that you act on whatever it is that you are trying to do, because the thing with not acting is like the momentum does die down. And then you just lose the interest to even move forward. And then it's almost like, you remember those merry-go-rounds to where you had to wait for it to slow down so that you could jump on it. And it does feel like that, because I've kind of passed up on some opportunities out of fear and not really knowing, like, okay, I don't know if I could really do it. So you don't act. Mm-hmm. And then you miss it, and then you regret it sometimes. And but I know the more that I have been kind of stepping into doing more, the fear just kind of diminishes, and more opportunities come. So, and this is an example of that. Like, I was, this time last year, I don't think I was doing this many podcasts, but now it's like, hey, any invite, I'm on there, so.
Yeah, we're delighted that you are. Genuinely, it is. And I'm the same. I think that conversations that happen, across continent in this instance, and it just adds to the whole kind of, certainly adds to my knowledge, and obviously I'm hoping to the listeners as well. But yeah, just hearing other people's experiences and understanding a bit more about how life is, for other humans everywhere.
Exactly. It's crazy, man. Life is it's funny, it's a lot of stuff happening and a lot of stuff changing and going on, but yes, it's a good journey for sure.
Absolutely right. And I think as well, when I think about entrepreneurship now, 2021, there has never been a better time, in terms of technology, in terms of opportunity. We can reach, thousands, millions of people with this, and that opportunity, I think, for a lot of people is, again, can be quite scary. But I think, like you said, you just got to keep moving forward. You got
to keep moving forward.
Yeah, you just got to jump on it. If you were to have a conversation with yourself when you started out, what would be the one thing that you'd tell yourself?
Oh man, oh gosh, what wouldn't I tell myself at this point? It would definitely be
a long conversation.
Like, let me get my list. Yeah, but it would definitely be to be your own person, and to not listen to every piece of advice that you get, because especially like the younger self is so vulnerable, and would easily influence. I'm talking from the smaller kids to the teens to the early 20s. That's like a breeding ground for cultivating the next few years of your future. And I think sometimes we run into people who we feel like are mentors and they're really not. What we're actually running into is individuals who want to give you the roadmap to what they believe you should be doing as far as college or, whatever career or going into the service or whatever that is. And I think with me, I would definitely, tell myself like, hey, listen, you can listen, but don't fall into the trap of going down the path of feeling like you have to do what people, think you should do.
So be a kind of follow your own path kind of thing, and almost
exactly.
There's that phrase in there, like feel the fear but do it anyway. It's kind of like, right, regardless of what everybody else over here is saying, do this.
Exactly. It happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So people listening to this, look, if you are stuck or if you're thinking, should you go, or there's like loads of stuff holding you back, but really your heart's in doing something that takes control, that's the way to go.
Yeah. I think that changes a lot, especially you often hear stories of kids who, are sent to medical school and when, they really want to, write a book or they really want to pursue a career in entertainment. And, sometimes they're influenced by the people that they love most or the people who love them most, and they're talked out of that. And then they reflect, 20 years down the line to learn that, hey, I should have really went and done what it was for me to do instead of, following this path. But that's the danger of, kind of projecting your beliefs and ideas onto others. So it's crazy, but yeah.
That's brilliant, and thank you. So I wonder, in terms of your business, just have a very quick summary. So what you do, what you bring to people, and then how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, okay. So I would love for anybody that's interested, maybe there's somebody that's trying to figure out their marketing plan for a brand or a product. So I do, like I said, the marketing and PR consulting. You can reach me at styleofbusiness.co. So that's styleofbusiness.co. And then also anybody that's interested or wants to connect and listen to my podcast or interested in the book, which is called Courage is a Muscle, a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey. They can reach me at Keetria, so it's KEETRIA.com. And then the podcast is on Apple, which is Style of Business, the podcast. And if you want to follow me and connect and have a good laugh on Twitter or Facebook, or IG /Keetria. So that's it. Thank you so much, Mal.
Perfect. Listen, no, thank you. Genuinely grateful for your time. Really, really great, inspirational ideas in there as well. So look, you get in touch with Keetria, it's KEETRIA, Keetria. Brilliant. Listen, thank you so much once more for your time today. Really, really appreciate it.